Crypto goes mainstream. Trump signing the first ever cryptocurrency bill into law, paving the way for stable coins backed by the US dollar. Imagine this. The year is 2015. You invest, $1,000 in the cryptocurrency known as Bitcoin. Well, today it would be worth, and wait for it because it bothers me, I should have invested 408,000 US dollars today. Quite the investment. But a lot of visionaries like rapper 50 Cent, the Winklevoss twins, actor Ashton Kutcher, business mogul Mark Cuban, they made that bet and it paid off well. Cryptocurrencies are known to be volatile and unpredictable. But with this signing of the historic Genius Act, the first ever federal crypto bill here in the U.S., there are new guardrails that will now be put in place to make stablecoins a safer investment for people like you and me who might be a little intimidated or just learning more about crypto. Here with us now from our partners at thehill.com, Sarakshi Rai. Sarakshi, good morning. Tell us more about the Genius Act. This is considered a very historic bill. Nothing like this in our country before.
That's right, Hannah. It really is a landmark victory for the crypto industry. You know, President Trump signed this Genius Act into law, which essentially establishes a regulatory framework for a type of digital currency known as stablecoins. Now, this act essentially rules that entities that issue stablecoin, it rules in favor of them. And this value is tied to an asset like the US dollar. So this is a huge change, right? And these rules now basically govern who is allowed to issue a stablecoin, how they need to maintain reserves, what happens in case of a bankruptcy, and there is even an obligation that whoever issues these stablecoins have to prevent money laundering. We also heard from the president, who congratulated members of the cryptocurrency industry who attended the signing ceremony at the White House, and that included CEOs of Coinbase and Tether, including the Winklevoss twins, right? And he also drew a really stark contrast between the Biden administration, which really went after the cryptocurrency industry as a whole. You know, he called them a vicious group of people who are trying to crush your industry, aka the cryptocurrency industry. And he also brought himself into the equation, saying they were trying to crush him as well. But really, Hannah, there is still some worry among Republicans and Democrats over this Genius Act, right? Senator Josh Hawley has criticized this bill as a huge giveaway to big tech, citing concerns that it would incentivize companies that issue these stablecoins to collect more financial data on consumers. We also heard from Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, who said that this bill...
All right, shalom, shalom. Give me 1 second, pardon me. Take a sip of water. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, and worship unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wachakodash. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. And salutations unto Achim, upholding the testimony of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai, in truth and in sincerity. You've heard what they were reporting on the news concerning the Genius Act, right, and stablecoin, which is a cryptocurrency, as I said. And this is gearing the society towards a cashless society. The society is being morphed into being cashless, meaning no physical currency. Now, the thing about a society that doesn't have physical currency, that means all transactions will be digitized and also able to be taxed and also able to be rejected. All right. And this is another step towards the mark of the beast, which is the mandatory implementation of the RFID microchip, spoken of in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter. And I just want to blow the horn on this. Not an extensive lesson, but most definitely something to acknowledge and to consider how close we are in prophecy. Because according to the Bible, excuse me, the mark of the beast is being implemented and made mandatory, I'll say, is the last prophecy before Yahushua returns. And it will usher in World War III. Now, World War III, when I say that, I'm using that kind of loosely. When I say World War III, I mean, because World War III would already have been started. Some argue that World War III has already started, and that argument is fair. World War II didn't start in Stalingrad. It started in Poland years prior. So you very well can say World War III has already started. We don't identify the war by the climax of it per se to be the beginning of the war, but the climax is a very monumental part of a war. But point being, World War III will be the climax, may I say, of World War III will be with the thermonuclear destruction, which will happen at a blink of an eye. It will happen in 1 hour, and it will happen as Yahushua returns. When the missiles are shot, Yahushua also would be returning at the same time. Okay? These things are going to happen simultaneously. All right. So this shows us that we are close to the return of Yahushua. These are one of the signs that show us that we're near to our salvation in the day of judgment. And indeed, if you receive of that device, if you take that device, the RFID microchip, you will be judged with a horrific judgment. Okay? Now, let's go to Revelations, the 13th chapter, in the 15th verse. It says, "And he had power to give life into the image of the beast." That in the image of the beast is the Roman Empire. The image of the beast is the system of Rome, which is being brought back through NATO and the EU, which is spearheaded by America. America is the top of NATO, which is the whore that sitteth upon the beast, which the beast is EU. EU is the ancient Roman Empire revived. It was established, I believe, in 1956, 58 or 56, under the title of the EEC. In that time period, it was 10 countries, and it was established under legislation and documentation by the name of the Treaty of Rome. In Italy, it was signed in fashion. Why? Because the EU was the revival of the Roman Empire. That's why. Anyway, so that's what that's going into in verse 15. It says, so EU, NATO had power to bring back the philosophy, the way of life, the influence, the governmental structure and status of the Roman Empire in the earth. The degenerate behavior of the Romans and the gladiatorial games and, the Senate. All of that is brought back through America and the EU. Conquest to spoil nations and rape, rob, and loot. You know, people like to think of the Romans as some type of glorious work of art. No, they were just good murderers. They were terrible human beings. You go back and look at the history of Caligula and Nero. These were terrible, terrible human beings. And that's what we have today via NATO and the EU. All right, so let's see here. Let's continue to read verse 15. It says that the image of the beast should both speak. And the image or the system of Rome, which is the image of the beast, speaks through their political influence of NATO and the EU, the economic influence of the International Banking Fund. All right, you know, through their policies that they push to other nations. All right, that's that's it speaking. It says, and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, who's somebody? You know, you look at people like Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi. This was an individual who did not worship the image of the beast. He didn't bow to the system of Rome, and he provided free healthcare, free education, free power, energy for his people, and things of that nature. And he tried to back his currency by gold. And what NATO? Who took Gaddafi out? NATO. They killed Gaddafi. They funded the jihadists. They did the airstrikes. Why? Because he did not worship the image of the beast. And so what happened to him? He was killed. You know, and it goes back, the main aspect goes back to the financial system. That's where you're going to get the mark of the beast, through the financial system. Gaddafi wanted to back all of the African nations' currency by gold. But the NATO and the EU, their plan is to microchip everybody. So they said, no, we can't do that. Gaddafi he's trying to take away our Roman power. Or he's trying to defile our image. So they killed him. Why? Because it was biblical prophecy. He's just one example that I'm making. Now, these people who they had in opposition to their system, they've all taken out. You know, as far as heads of states, you know. And so what? Verse 16, it says, he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So through this cryptocurrency, which the money will become digital, and from it being digital, then they're going to require everybody to get a device, a microchip inside of them for control. It says, he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. And you see the technology such as the Neuralink, and there's many other companies that have brain chip implants technology that they are expanding upon. That's the mark of the beast. That's the forehead. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, meaning you're going to have to buy and sell with it. You're going to do commerce. You're going to need this device. You're only going to be able to access forms of exchange and currency from a perspective of currency through having that device. There will be no more cash money. There will be no more physical money. There'll be no more devices to pay for, such as credit cards or tap pay with phone. No, the tap pay is going to be through your hand. It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that have the mark, which is the charagma in the Greek, which is the actual device that's going to be implanted. It says, or the name of the beast, which is the name of the beast is basically following his system. Okay, and those who follow his system are going to take that charagma, by the way. It said, or the number of his name. All right. And to be of the number of his name is to be of the 303 score and 6, 603 score and 6, pardon me. All right. Okay, which is it's a number of a man when you go into it. All right, which is different layers of understanding to that, but just to keep it simple, you go into the device. It's going to have numerical codes within it, which everybody's going to have their distinct number attached to them, and they're going to be on the grid. Those that receive that. Okay. Stigma. As we go into the Greek, and it's more understanding behind that, but I'm just going to leave it at that. Just let it be. And we've gone through we've had countless of videos of going into other details of what this stuff means. But with that, I hope this was edifying. We're close, we're at the end. We must keep the faith. Giving our praises to Yahweh Shemel Shai. Shalom.